Commuter bikes to electric bikes, kids bikes and more. We're also fully stocked for all things baby. Check out the range and shop online at eurocycleseurobaby.com.
Hi, I'm Liam Neeson. If you have been vaccinated, you can now give a vaccine to someone in need. UNICEF is currently delivering 2 billion vaccines to the poorest countries. So if you get a vaccine, please give a vaccine by going to unicef.ie today. Thank you.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power's Save Our Game. England's goals total 80k so far for Irish football. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Now you're very welcome back. So the semi-final stages are upon us. England, Denmark tomorrow. This evening it's the Italians against Spain at Wembley. Crowd of 60,000 expected. The Italian team, as you'd expect, the one enforced change obviously from the Belgian game is Spinazzola, who's out. So Emerson comes in for Spinazzola at left back. So it's Di Lorenzo right back, Bonucci, Chiellini, Emerson in for Spinazzola at left back, and then that midfield three, which we're becoming very used to, Verratti, Jorginho and Barella, and then Chiesa with Immobile, and then Insigne. The other side of him is how Italy line up this evening. Few changes for Spain. Unai Simon still in goal. It's Azpilicueta right back, Laporte alongside Garcia in the centre of defence, Jordi Alba at left back. Their midfield three remains very much Koke, Busquets and Pedri. Few changes up front though. Ferran Torres starts once again. Oyarzabal, who has 54 goals in 200 Real Sociedad matches, replaces Morata, and then Pablo Sarabia is out injured. So Daniel Olmo, the 23-year-old who plays at Leipzig, had been at Barcelona as a youngster, but now at Leipzig he comes in instead of Sarabia. So it's Ferran Torres, Oyarzabal and Daniel Olmo. That's how Spain line up this evening. Very happy to say Mark Lawrenson is on the line. Hi Mark.
How are you? All good?
Yeah, all good. So looking forward to this game. What kind of game are you expecting?
Well, I think with the Italians, we've seen very much on the front foot, and the Spanish very, very good at kind of hiding the ball from you. I don't think either will change. I think it's going to be really, really tight. I think both teams know that the other team are good. Although we know with the Spanish they started very, very slowly, but now they've come into the rhythm, started scoring goals. They both as well had a little bit of scares in some of the results in the knockout stages. I just think it'll be tight. There's obviously so much at stake. So I think we might be talking extra time and pens here.
Luis Enrique has been talking about the game very much in terms of possession in the build-up. I guess that's how the Spanish see the game in many ways as well. But he said our objective is clear. We want the ball. That's the first battle to win this evening. So in midfield, Verratti, Jorginho, Barella versus Koke, Busquets and Pedri. Who comes out on top there?
Oh, tough one. I would possibly argue that the Spanish maybe. I mean, Pedri's going to be a wonderful player. We know about Koke. We know about Busquets as well. And thing about Busquets as well, did he miss the first two games, I think?
He had COVID, early on.
Yeah, where Spain looked very, very ordinary. But the thing with him, he just gives them a platform to go forward and play. And they've created an awful lot of chances, the Spanish as well, and missed quite a lot of them. But whether you get that against the Italians, I don't know, because I would say if you wanted a back four to play for you in this competition, arguably you'd go for the Italians because they just know what they're at. They're all good players. They're all very good at the dark arts, as well as you saw in the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour against Belgium. I think it's a really, really close one. But I think this is a great thing about the competition is that we're looking at both these teams. And whoever gets through, in the final, it will be a proper game regardless of who it's against.
Busquets is a phenomenal player. Probably maybe underappreciated initially. I saw Rooney writing about him in the Sunday Times at the weekend and just saying he was a nightmare to play against. It often fell on Wayne Rooney's shoulders to press Busquets. They were in similar parts of the pitch, and he said it was just so frustrating because he would wait for you to come to him. He knew you had to eventually press him, and then he'd slip it by you. And to use Rooney's phrase, Busquets would therefore take you out of the game. Yeah,
well, that's what he's good at. You know, if you look at the old conquering Barcelona team that he played in, he was absolutely brilliant. And if you're one of the two centre-backs, or even if it's three centre-backs, you kind of look at him and he's almost like a wall in front of you. And I think very, very cleverly, a little bit kind of Italianish insofar as he would just take you out, he'd take a booking, because he just knows absolutely how to manage his team. And I think from that point of view, that's what's made him an outstanding player. He's a good passer as well. It's just a really, really tough one, this game, but it's absolutely, totally intriguing. This game is more intriguing than tomorrow for me because nobody can really decide who we think is actually going to go and win it.
Is the brutal reality for Spain that they're just a bit light up front?
Yeah, absolutely. And yet, they could just have a night tonight where they might only make 4 or 5 chances and go and score 2 goals, which again is quite intriguing. But yeah, if you think about the teams that they've had when they've won obviously the World Cup and the Euros before, Torres, Villa, all those kind of players, they were world class. They don't have a world class striker, or they don't really have a world class forward at the moment. But what he's done, Luis Enrique, is he's got himself a team now that started slowly, and the building, which is exactly what you want in this competition. They may go out tonight and scare us and go 2-0 up against the Italians, and then there will be a game.
Yeah, and just to remind people, when you mentioned their slow start, 0-0 draw first day out against Sweden. I think everybody thought, okay, not much coming from Spain here. Then a 1-1 draw with Poland, and then they beat Slovakia 5-0, and then they put 5 past Croatia extra time. It was 3-3 at full time, and then the Swiss game they won on penalty. So they have been growing into this tournament. For Italy, Spinazzola's an absolutely massive loss, I would put it to you. Like, Emerson at Chelsea has not really caught the eye. I mean, you're swapping maybe the left back of the tournament here out for Emerson.
Oh yeah, Apart from the English supporters will say, hold on, they've got a fab left back as well, and he started to make all sorts of chances. But no, you're absolutely right. But it's not as good as he's has been. It's not a crucial position because you can get somebody to come in there and play, and obviously maybe not be as good, but certainly be as solid defensively and basically pass it to players who can actually open up defences.
Why have Italy been so good on the ball? Why have they been able to go from back to front so almost seamlessly at times? Like, they're cut through teams with just what look like very ordinary passes. People might even hark back to your day in Liverpool. It seems like there's an obvious pass on, someone's in the right position, they work the way out the pitch. It's, like I said, a bit seamless. You can watch other teams in this tournament and it seems like, well, how are they going to get it out of their own half here with the ball? They're just passing the ball around the back four here, and it looks very, very difficult for them to work the ball up to their better players.
I think it's because the fab at finding space, and I think, and I said this to you a few times about the manager, about Mancini, which is he's picked a team to actually play like he would have played in it, very, very open. If you actually watch them, they're nearly always, especially the midfield three, they're nearly always in space to get the ball. And they're one of the few teams, even early in the competition, that would get the ball in midfield and go sideways and go backwards. They were always, always, always looking forward. And I think if you do that, and you've got a front three that are versatile, that are pacey, that understand the change of positions, etc., they will. If you play in the front three and you play you play in front of this Italian midfield, you would always be making runs, always, always, always. And if you just look at the quality of the goals that they scored, and not so much scoring from 25 yards top corner, but just the build-up and getting the ball into the box early and people getting on the end of it, I think that's why they're so good. I
had John Giles on the show at the weekend telling me that Jorginho is playing for Italy in a way he does not play for Chelsea at all. But I had Pat Nevin then on the Monday saying that Jorginho always plays like this for Chelsea and people just have been giving him a hard time. You can settle the debate for me.
I think John was right. As much as I know and love Pat Nevin, I think John was absolutely... Listen, Pat Nevin's a massive Chelsea supporter. Why wouldn't you be? So he's going to defend his man. But no, John's right. Jorginho does not generally play this way for Chelsea. But hey, the national team, obviously, it's great for them.
God, he's a better player for the national team. You'd wonder why he's not doing it more for Chelsea.
Well, we're not quite sure what restrictions, if he has restrictions when he plays for Chelsea. That's the problem. But I think it's the other thing as well is maybe at Chelsea he just doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe every time he plays he feels like he has to prove himself, and you get the impression that when you see his name in the opening Italian 11 that plays in the game, all the supporters go, "Oh yeah, what a fab player." So it's I don't know. It's maybe a little bit of confidence as well, but he's just allowed to play as he would be allowed to play for Italy, and maybe he's not allowed to play that way for Chelsea.
I'm sure you watch centre-backs with a keen eye. Bonucci and Chiellini must be about as good a pairing as there's been, or am I going way too far there?
Yeah, absolutely. And just things like positioning, which sounds really, really easy, but they just got it all the time. I think they enjoy defending as well. We can all see that. They're also, we've mentioned this a few times, very, very good at the dark out. They know when to take people out. They know when they can take a booking. And I think just the way they are with everybody around them, and it's almost like, wow, all the rest of the team look at those two and think, crikey, we are never, ever, ever going to upset those two. But yeah, they're fab. I mean, how old's Chiellini now?
36.
There you go. So, I remember, you only remember when you played and stuff like that, but certainly at Anfield or with Liverpool, when myself and Hampton, we would always get this thing where just as we walked out to play, Ronnie Moran, God love him, would say to us, "Stay in your armchairs." And basically what he meant was, do not get pulled out of position. If you two are there in position, we're not really in any problems. If you start to get pulled out and start running all over the place, then people can obviously play in behind you, alongside you, etc. And that's exactly what Chiellini and his mates are. They're always there. So you've always got these two plus the goalkeeper and somebody in front of them just always in position. I think people look at it and maybe not see that it's just such an important thing, but it's an important thing all around the team. If people are always in position, you kind of can have a mental picture where almost you can close your eyes but know where the players are on the field.
And did you and Hansen celebrate goal line clearances and blocks like these two?
No. No.
Wouldn't have thought so.
No, because by the way, if we had, we'd have got an absolute bollocking by the time we got in the dressing room, because that was just the expectancy.
It's interesting that Enrique has pretty much now lost faith in Alvaro Morata. So it's Oyarzabal up front. I don't know, like he's a left winger, he's a forward. He has scored 54 goals in 200 for Sociedad. So it's not bad, but it's certainly not prolific. But it just seems like Enrique looked at Morata and said, this ain't happening. Even though he did score against Croatia and is a striker, I guess. Did you kind of feel it was time to take Morata out yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can, Mancini's been really good with him. He's given him enough starts, and he's kind of looked at what he's got in terms of replacements and thought, yeah, I'll leave him out. You know what? The whole thing about that is maybe Enrique's been really, really clever, thinking, I might chuck him on after 70 minutes, and all of a sudden he might suddenly start scoring, because you never lose your ability. And I think the thing with Morata, we've all kind of looked at him on a good day, top player, on another day, average. And maybe Enrique's seen something we haven't.
He seems to be one of these players, Morata, as well, who, I don't know, does he lose his confidence? But things get on top of him. You suspect he feels a loss. He doesn't just brush it off, or feels a miss. He doesn't just brush it off. No.
Every time you see him, it looks like the whole weight of the Italian national team is upon him, and plus the supporters. The Spanish plus the supporters, etc. And he plays a little bit that way. Listen, he's a good player. He's got a really, really good touch. But you watch him play and you kind of think, really, is that good a player? And then all of a sudden in the moment, it shows you that he is. The problem is he's just not consistent. And at this level, the very highest level, basically, apart from, one down from the World Cup, you have to be consistent as a footballer, whatever position you're playing.
Yeah. I presume Dalglish could miss 2 or 3 and it wouldn't bother him overly in terms of confidence.
Dalglish what? Sorry, say that again.
Yeah. Did it ever happen?
with Kenny.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were joking, because I said, I presume even if Dalglish missed 2 or 3, that it wouldn't affect his confidence overly.
It wouldn't, but the only time I ever saw him lose his confidence, he got, if you remember, he went into a challenge with Kevin Moran, and he broke his cheekbone, and it took Kenny an awful long time to get over that, and that was the year we beat, let me think, Roma in the European Cup in Rome.
Yeah.
And if you watched his performances from whenever he got back in the team, say it was kind of March time, he wasn't the same. But in saying that a genius wasn't the same, it's not quite saying like he's just a normal player. But he wasn't the same. But no, he wouldn't bother with any stuff like that. And you could have. Me and Hampton used to have unbelievable rows with him on the pitch, and more so when he was player manager. We'd be effing and jeffing at each other and everything. But he was always one of those that when you came off the pitch, and he would always give his absolute utmost. But when he came off the pitch, whatever happened and you won, you got a like a back slap or a shake of hands and well done boys, and on we go.
So, final word. You're pretty much putting this down as maybe a bit too close to call. You can see extra time, you can see penalties. This one's tricky.
Yeah, but you know what? I can see the Spanish winning it, because we've had generally in this competition, we've had some very, very strange results, and this might just be in the queue for the strange results.
Yeah, well, that would be something. Listen, great having you on. Thanks a million.
No problem.
Cheers. That's Mark Lawrenson there, giving us his thoughts ahead of Italy-Spain. Football coverage and Off the Ball is with Paddy Power's Save Our Game, donating €10,000 to Irish football for every goal England score at the Euros. After Saturday, that has doubled to €80,000, all with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. We have Steve McLaren between 8 and 9. We'll play some of Enda McGinley as well on the on the breakfast show this morning on OTB AM. So we'll round out the 8 to 9 hour with some of Enda McGinley, and then myself and Dan McDonnell on the football show, and we'll be joined as well by Philip O'Connor, who'll give us an insight into the Danish camp. They are very confident ahead of tomorrow's game.
I'm sorry, you can sit there and look and play with all your silly machines as much as you like.
What does that mean?
Fit to spit?
I don't really know what you mean.
Angry, upset, frustrated, steaming.
No.
Only in sex masochism. Then it is allowed.
Well, I appreciate you not pulling my hair, thank you.
Okay.
Where did this ferocious determination out there today come from?
The media. Every one of them brought us off.
Somebody's out to get me. We've been shagged by Dublin.